How's it going, everyone? Darkscream here, and this is not a structured review of one of my anime shows or movies I've seen. I know I've put off my Bubblegum Crisis review for a while now, but I'll try to get that out hopefully within a week or two. In the meantime, as a quick little experiment, I thought maybe I could do a series of quick, unstructured mini reviews on 5 different anime I've watched and completed over the past couple of years. Which means I haven't given up on anime yet, despite my cynicism and laziness. In fact, I've seen some of the more recent shows during that time. That being said, I am going to open this experiment with the worst anime I've seen from the list. You know what they say, first the worst, so here's the first and the worst. World War Blue. So I heard about this anime several years ago, and it was basically a fantasy retelling of the Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo console war. A very interesting look at history, by the way. And I thought the premise was really cool. Then I forgot about it. Then I looked it up online. That was considered one of the worst anime to see. So out of morbid curiosity, I decided to check out Crunchyroll. And yeah, most of them were spot on the money. This was a terrible freaking anime to see. I'd rather go back to the Hyperdimension Neptunia franchise. I know that series gets shit on a lot by hardcore JRPG fans and whatnot for the QT anime character designs and all that shit. And I understand. But man, is it much more enjoyable and entertaining to some degree compared to this show. Okay, so animation, subpar. The characters, well, they're all supposed to be representation of various video game mascots. See the main character on this DVD art right there? As you can tell, he's supposed to be Sonic the Hedgehog. The pacing was lightning fast. The anime was only 3 OVA episodes, and it just felt like an advertisement for an anime series rather than an actual anime series in itself. And clearly, the advertisement wasn't convincing because there were no more episodes after anything. Now, I know there's a manga of this. I don't know how it is compared to the OVA. Hopefully, it's better. But it was just kind of, it wasn't even entertaining bad. Like Master of Martial Arts was. Or first season of Vicky Tosin. It was kind of a droll, boring show with unnecessary amounts of fan service. I'll give you an example. See, there was a scene where the main character, I completely forgot his name already. Let's just call him Sonic the Hedgehog because that's who he is. He wanted to join the army of Sagawa Kingdom. That's the kingdom of Sega. And this hag general tells her, oh, if you're worthy, take on 100 of my men, which in itself is a really dumb test. Something Rio pointed out while we were watching this together. And, of course, he does a Dynasty Warriors-esque take them all out in one hit, because why show any interesting animation? And she sees this, and this character who sees this, she's supposed to be a representation of the puzzle game columns. She sees this, and then she gets excited, and then they randomly show her naked for no reason. No reason whatsoever. And there's some of it just sprinkled all over the place. Oh yeah, when I think of the great console war between Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, I think of a female representation of Opa Opa from Fantasy Zone charging up an energy shot and animated in the way like she's fingering herself. I know that sounds lewd, but that's what it looks like. And here's another thing. If you're going to make a show based off the console war, why would you make Nintendo the bad guys? I mean, if I were to make an adaptation, if somebody said, okay, make a fantasy story based off the console wars, I would try to keep it as neutral as possible where there's good and evil on both sides, because that would just make for an interesting, story to tell. And I guess, well, I can't say they're making it for the younger audience because of the fan service. But you guys know how the console war ends with those two, right? how Sega fucking loses, right? Like, Nintendo beats them, and you want to make them the bad guys? I don't know, man. So you can tell from my tone of voice, I do not recommend watching this show. I mean, it is available on Crunchyroll under its Japanese name, but even then, I wouldn't recommend it. And I can't tell you anything about the English dub because I saw it in Japanese subtitles, but I did see some clips on the English dub, and boy, do they try to reference everything, even though this anime takes itself way too damn seriously. They still have to make gotta go fast memes. And yeah, like I said, I do not recommend this. I almost would recommend I would almost recommend the Neptunia anime. I would recommend you reading the book The Console War or listening to the audiobook, which is what I'm doing right now, if you want an extensive history of Sega versus Nintendo back in the day, because it is a fascinating history. Like, I get the premise. It is a fascinating premise, but the execution was just piss poor. Next up on my list is Pop Team Epic. This is shitposting in the anime, and I like it for just that. I know not everyone else is going to enjoy it, but personally I had fun with it. I also love the fact that they take a 12-minute episode anime and just double it by re-showing the same episode, but redubbing the main characters, Papako and Pipami's voices with male actors. And you do get like some slight changes here and there with their performances or how the animation works, and it's pretty hilarious. It definitely hasn't been done before, at least not to my knowledge. But I also like how there's segments broken into several parts in the episode with different animators working on it. Like, you would have a French studio work on a certain segment every once in a while, and the animation is really nice there. And they also had like music videos that are in like felt stop motion, like Let's Pop Together, which in itself is like a big parody of Let's Groove Tonight by Earth, Wind & Fire. But I like this show. It's entertaining. It's going to be up there with Panty and Stocking Excel Saga on the fact that it's one of those really zany off-the-wall comedies that not everyone's probably going to enjoy, but will still have a strong dedicated following. I mean, if you want to check it out yourself, it is on both Crunchyroll and Funimation. I've seen it dubbed, and the dub is actually really good. Although, people will probably prefer the sub if they're more familiar with the Japanese actors and actresses. Next up on the docket, Crusher Joe the Movie. Not to be confused with the OVA series, which I will be picking up soon, and I may do a full-fledged review of that. 80s fun, space, sci-fi adventure film. The term Crusher, for those who are curious, is like referring to the profession of our main characters. They're crushers, and their job is to do stuff with terraforming or any kind of dangerous work, and they get paid for it, obviously. The movie is actually based off of a series of light novels of the same name by Haruka Takachiho, who also made the Dirty Pair series, and they are in the same universe. Which is weird because there's one scene in the movie where they're actually in a drive-in theater, and a film that shows the characters Kei and Yuri from the Dirty Pair playing, and they look exactly like how they're portrayed in the novels too. Easter egg reference, whatever. Anyways, the plot of this film centers around our protagonist, with the leader being named Joe, obviously, because there was always a Joe in the 80s, for some reason, that do a routine escort, but then it turns out they were set up by space pirates, and then they try to get back at the space pirates. It's a typical revenge, conspiracy theory plot, but, you know, it's standard action fun. You know, space battles, all that shit, you know. It's not trying to win any groundbreaking awards or anything, but, you know, I love me some space, I love me some sci-fi. Definitely love me some anime from the 80s and 90s, so of course I would love something like this as well. I don't remember if I've seen this on Blu-ray or DVD, but Discotech Media has the license, God bless them, they license all the good classics, or most of them. I just wish they had their own streaming service, it would be a lot easier on my end. But yeah, if you get the chance, pick it up on Amazon or Right Stuff or wherever you shop for anime DVDs. It's worth the watch. It's pretty entertaining, especially if you're into the same stuff I am. Alright, next up on this list, this one's going to be a tad bit meatier in content, is Key the Metal Idol. I wanted to check this series out after seeing a random anime intro on YouTube and checking to see if anyone picked up the license. Of course, once again, Discotek Media, being the saviors that they are, had this available, so I went and picked it up and watched all 15 episodes. And it's supposed to be one of those early mindfuck shows that predates Serial Experiments Lane, and obviously it doesn't age that much in the department because, like I said, weirder and weirder has come out since then. The OVA is basically over 20 years old anyways. But the plot is Key, who is a robot, gets a dying message from her grandfather that she needed to make 30,000 friends so she could become human. Now, this show, it's pretty dark. They don't hide that at all, especially if you watch the intro to the show. And it is pretty weird because it also doesn't, it might be, I could be misinterpreting this, but I think it is doing a huge social commentary on idol culture, because you have this one company that specializes in these big hunky robots that are for military use, but they also like promote idols of their own and then have them pilot those said military robots that apparently does physical strain on a person. Yeah, like I said, it's weird. And the show is, oddly enough, it doesn't feel slow-paced, but it is. Because I watch one episode, I see what's happening, and then all of a sudden you hear the ending music play, and then the episode's over, and I'm like, that's it? And they do this for like 13 episodes straight. Now, the last two episodes, 14 and 15, they are 90 minutes in length. They are basically the lengths of a movie. And episode 14 was like a giant exposition info dump on everything that answers as much questions as it can before it sets up for the climax in the next episode. Which I think is weird and maybe not as structured as it should be, but for whatever reason, my interest was still being held. I did not feel bored, or I did not feel like watching anything else while I was checking this show out. I would definitely recommend this if you want some dark mind screws from the olden days. And now we're finally at the last anime to review for this video. Admittingly, it shouldn't be a review on its own, but truth be told, I would just be choir preaching at this point. You might have heard of this movie before. You might have already seen it. Most of you probably have. It is considered like a modern classic. There are reviews, positive reviews everywhere. I've seen even non-anime normie people see this, and they love the shit out of it. Of course, I'm talking about Your Name. I have not read a whole lot of reviews, but I know it's being praised to high heaven, and it's justified. I really can't say or add anything else to that without spoiling the movie, which I don't want to do. Because I kind of went there, I went and saw the movie with a clean slate. I didn't even know what the plot synopsis was. I don't even want to know if I want to tell you the plot synopsis, because who knows, you might be turned off by it. But like I said, it was worth the watch. It was a very, very good, very emotional movie. To give you an example of like how normal people are also praising this film, I'm subscribed to a channel called Good Bad Flicks, and he did his top 10 best and worst films of 2017. Not only was this in his best list, I'm pretty sure it was number 1. So that's high praise. But apparently this film is so popular that even J.J. Abrams wants to go and fuck it all up in an adaptation that's live action or something. But yeah, I've seen this movie. I love it. The animation is gorgeous. The characters are likable. The story is very, very emotional. Got me on the edge of my seat towards the end. And I don't know why. I guess it's just laziness. Because I did pick up the Blu-ray a couple months ago, but I didn't watch it until just recently, like before I recorded this fucking vlog. And hopefully by then everyone else has seen it, but if you haven't seen it, what is your excuse? Come on, man, give this film a watch. You won't regret a single minute of it. It's not even that long of a film. Yeah, I'm holding Blu-ray right here. Blah, blah, blah. It's about... It felt like 90 minutes. Huh, where's the runtime on this? Yeah, it's about 107 minutes. The film is 90 minutes. Remember when movies used to be so great and they stayed in that 90-minute length instead of being 2.5 hours long, and then you leave the theater with a frickin' migraine? So, I have overtimed it. That is all my little mini reviews. Like I said, the next anime review will in fact be Bubblegum Crisis. I hope you guys enjoyed what I did, and who knows, maybe I can do this again, but with manga and video games as well. So leave a comment if you wish, and this is Darkscream signing out. Seriously, if you haven't already, go watch Your Name right frickin' now.